Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lunar Rhythms on AOA with Christeen Skinner. Hi, Christeen.
Hello.
This is kind of a once a month. I think me and a big part of our audience really looking forward to see you and to chat with you about the recent transit. And also, not only just talking about transit, we also talking about what's happening now, some interesting event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's so much to talk about. Well, always there is, but this just does seem to be a super exciting time.
Yeah. We know that. But first, how are you? How's everything at this moment?
It's super ridiculously busy, right? But that's a happy thing. That's a really happy thing. Yeah, but it does mean juggling a lot of things.
Okay, yes. And I think by the end of the year, usually astrology will getting busier because most people would just by this moment they were thinking about, oh, maybe I should do a chart reading for next year or something.
I think that's true, but for me, really, it was the events at the lunar eclipse that suddenly made things really busy.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, we were anticipating that this would be a big financial event.
Exactly.
And, you know, we weren't disappointed. Nobody wants to see a nasty event, obviously, but absolutely, it played out more or less as we thought. And the cryptos all had the collapse that we thought they were going to have. Because none of that story is finished. But there's some very interesting things in that because I eventually got the chart of this Sam Bankman-Fried, you know, that the head of FTX. And it's really, it's absolutely, it was amazing to actually get the chart. First of all, his birthday is March the 6th.
March the 6th, okay.
And what's fascinating about all of this is that very often, March 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Very often, markets generally, that seems to be a really tender period for them. So it's like he was born on a financial curve. And that particular, the eclipse last week, well, actually, the story starts before then because Hades, one of the trans-Neptunian planets, he has Hades at 9 degrees Gemini, which is kind of very, very close to the 8 degrees where Mars will station in January. So that puts you on alert. But the lunar eclipse was conjunct his Admetus, which is really, I don't know if your people actually get into these trans-Neptunians. They offer a richness that you don't necessarily get from just the traditional. Right? Yeah. So that's really interesting. And the eclipse was also square. He has a conjunction of Mars, Saturn, and Venus. The eclipse was squaring those. So it's kind of really interesting that he was in the frame then. But he wasn't the only part of the story because there's Elon Musk as well.
Yes.
Last week's big story. And that eclipse was, let's call it 50. Let's just round things up. Let's call it 15 degrees of the fixed.
Yes.
And Musk has his nodal axis at 15 degrees of the fixed. Yeah. And of course, 15 degrees of the fixed is halfway between a solstice and an equinox. It's a GAN point. Right? It's sort of very interesting that these are they were all financial charts. And maybe not so surprising that was the big story.
Indeed. I still remember, I think that is a very important thing. When last time we talking about eclipses, and we mentioned about because the moon is going to trigger Saturn-Uranus square, and then and also moon conjunct with the Uranus. And you mentioned about the last time this configuration happened was when Lehman Brothers bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it wasn't in the same part of the zodiac, right?
No.
That's the weird thing. Whenever it's a wonderful thing, if people want to look it up, there's a wonderful thing which I think was the Royal Bank of Scotland, which did an exercise about the effect of the lunar cycle on markets. And it was comparing, you know, if you buy at the new moon, sell at the full, or buy at the new and at the first quarter. And it's a very, very interesting study. But of course, it falls down because it doesn't take into account the fact that you shouldn't really compare all new moons because we know they're all different because they're in different signs, and also the configuration around them is different.
Yeah.
But what does seem to be the case is that a full moon, not just a lunar eclipse, a full moon that has the moon conjunct Uranus or opposing it will bring some kind of financial trauma. And that makes you wonder, what is astrology about? Why do traders respond to that cycle in that way? Is it that they crave some mega drama and then create it? You know, it's really fascinating to work out why the timing is so precise.
Yeah, and that is so interesting because also another thing I remember is because we talk about Lehman Brothers, and some people on the newspaper, on the media, they talking about this event as a Lehman Brothers on the crypto.
Yes.
So it's like it's calling the related thing, and it's calling us, draw us attention back to the
But the thing about this is, of course, all the cryptos have suffered, right?
Yes.
But then you have to say, well, is crypto dead? No, right?
No.
That's not the case. What is crypto about, right? Will crypto recover? Is this a buying opportunity? If it's a buying opportunity, which one should I buy? Right?
Yes.
So this is part of the reason why I was so busy last week. But you see, when I first got involved in this, there really was only Bitcoin and then a little bit of Ethereum. Now there's over 2,000 of these damn things around. Which one do you say, I think that one's going to be worthy of my attention? And of course, now you've got governments creating their own digital currencies.
True.
So which of those should we be looking at? Yeah, I mean, there's so much research needs to be done.
Exactly. Yes, because I'm not really. I mean, I keep an eye on it, but I'm not really dig into the crypto because I remember when I write and analyze a little bit this into Chinese social media.
Yeah.
Someone just replied, say, "Oh, you're just talking. Have you ever done it?" I was just like, I don't need to, and I'm not sure. Am I really want to invest on crypto because I don't know. I don't really understand the market of cryptocurrency. So for the market, I'm not familiar. I probably not easily to step in. But it's very interesting because people say, if you know, why don't you do that? I was just like, oh no, it's not like this.
It's really, really difficult because the fact of the matter is that the way in which money has operated up until now is coming to an end. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not the mistress of crypto by any means, but what I do know is that from the day that you could actually go into a newspaper shop and pay for your paper with your telephone, right? We're already in a new financial age, right? We're already there, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely need to have a decentralized system without question, because if you look at how much money is lost through because we trade from pounds to dollars to whatever. It would be so much simpler if there was one system, right? That system could be so corrupt unless it's decentralized.
Yeah, I think the event, especially this event of this FTX, when they have problem, people start talking about decentralized. Do we really need it, and do we really need an exchange, or we need a program those programs to work out a DeFi, to avoid the similar things happen again.
Yeah,
and I think the government will definitely step in. I think we already know.
There's no question. We know that Bitcoin was born under a Saturn-Uranus opposition. We know that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But Bitcoin didn't arrive. You know, we look at the chart for 2009 as though that was the beginning. That wasn't the beginning, right? The beginning was decades before, because this, you can unravel it back to the 1970s.
Wow.
And the e-commerce. Well, you didn't just arrive on the planet, right? There was an act 9 months before, that everything is connected to, it's unwinding that is interesting. And what's another thing that we should take into account is that Bitcoin came out of a Halloween white paper. Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Right? Okay. So what do we know about this Halloween? Mars stationed in Gemini.
Yeah.
This retrograde station of Mars, which we can talk about from other points of view, is really peculiar, because if you go back all the way through the 20th century, it's never retrograded and gone direct in the same sign before. Usually been in Cancer, pops back into Gemini and then goes forward, or it's in Gemini, drops into Taurus and then goes forward. This one is a complete Gemini shambles, right?
Yes.
And based on that, so that white paper that too is challenged presently. But if you did the solar return for that, you would see, wow, retrograde Mars stationed, ouch.
Yeah.
And you would wonder. And it's 14 years now, of course, since Bitcoin came into being. So 14 years, roughly, half Saturn cycle. This is growing up time. This is regulation time.
Yeah. So it is true. From the astrology view, to examine whole event of the big flow of Bitcoin and all the other crypto is so interesting, especially when we go through the astrology and when we go through the planetary cycle things. And you just mentioned about the solar return of the white paper of the Halloween. It's so fantastic.
It's really quite amazing. I'm now doing, I'll plug this for a minute. I'm now doing a monthly financial class. We've got one coming up next weekend. Cool. And the idea of that is to look at what's happened in the last month and then look to see what might be happening in the next month. And I'm really pleased with what we did in October. It worked really well, because we were able to focus in on possible scenarios. And we've got this one, right?
Cool.
We haven't got the numbers, right? We didn't say how much Bitcoin would fall by, but we got the fact that there was a threat. It's very interesting because you need to go back to the whole of that Saturn-Uranus cycle, which doesn't finish until 2032. So we haven't finished this story yet, but we know that by 2032, these currencies will be the norm. Won't necessarily be Bitcoin at the top. I doubt very much if it will be Bitcoin, but they're here, they're to stay. We need to learn a bit more about them.
Exactly. Well, it's so exciting because I think both you and I, we are interested in this area. So when we talk about it, we just couldn't stop. But there's something else. I mean, the one thing you just mentioned about the trans-Pluto body. And I think a few things are happening at this moment. I think especially you mentioned about the Haumea. What happened at this moment?
Well, Haumea has just, after 30 years of being in Libra, Haumea has just crossed into Scorpio.
Wow.
Just last weekend. Now that's big news, isn't it? Now,
yes.
And because it's just gone into, and this is for another long stay.
Yeah.
Scorpio, one of the fixed signs. We also know that Pluto is headed towards Aquarius. So the pair of them are already beginning to be in a loose square together.
Yeah.
These are like two gods, goddesses, at war, which we're witnessing on the planet too presently. But I find this very interesting because Scorpio is one of the financial signs of the zodiac. So Haumea coming in, Haumea is going to say, do you want to have a rethink, right? Do you want to have a reevaluation, right? How do you want to operate? When you read the work that's been done on Haumea, and it's got this press as being an awesome gift, and it's got as though it's bringing terrible thunder or something, but equally an awesome gift can be about philanthropy, right? Supposing, just lovely thought, but just supposing you won the lottery tonight and you suddenly end up with £1 billion, right? What would you do with it, right?
Yeah.
Most of us are thinking just about buying this week's groceries and whatever, but the idea, it would be an awesome gift, right? And I think putting Haumea into your chart makes you actually think about what awesome gift do you have. It might not be money, right? But everybody's got something. How do you use it? What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your footprint to be? So I find Haumea going into Scorpio, I wonder at another level whether or not our psychic, well, I don't want to call it psychic, it's about a spiritual, it's a resurgence really of the need to have spiritual health, I think. I think that's going to be something of the next 30 years.
Let me plug this in. So if you are wondering where is your Haumea in your natal chart, you can go to astro.com, and then when you're making the chart, when you try to calculate the chart on the astro.com, you have a section to choose asteroid, and you just give the number of Haumea is 136108. If you give this number, you will be able to put Haumea into the chart you calculate. So that's just very quickly.
You can also do it on solar fire. You can add her into that. I just think we need to do more work, just in the same way that, Chiron appeared in the scene. I think what was that, 1977?
1977, yes.
Yeah, but we still, although books were written about the thing immediately, right? We're still learning what Chiron is about. Now, I don't presume to think that I've got a handle on Haumea yet. But I just find it fascinating that as we are going through this enormous financial change, Haumea is also going into one of the financial zones, right? The big time zone. So if you go back to the 1980s, that they're kind of the yuppie time, right? Pluto going through Scorpio, and look at the upheaval that brought. And people were buying their huge tellies and everything was on the credit thing. Now Haumea is going to come along and say, well, actually, you don't want any of that, but you do want a richer spiritual life. At least that's what I think it might be about. I don't know.
Wow, that could be. I think I agree with you, because those planets like Pluto discovered in the 1930s, and Chiron we use mostly at this moment in the chart that was discovered in the 1977. And to be honest, we know something about it and we talk about it, but they keep surprising us. The different meaning or different character with Pluto, with Chiron, they keep coming out. Have maybe like, have we noticed about this and that? And it is very interesting when we're working with all these like asteroid and Chiron and and even the Haumea, or a lot of. I think you always bring the surprise about this asteroid. And another another astrologer friend, I think Leanne, also interesting in this, and we keep talking about it. So it would be very interesting in February when you and Leanne going to talk about the Pluto in Aquarius. Maybe you both can bring some asteroids into your discussion. That would be really fun.
Yes, I mean we can say already, Pluto going into Aquarius. We know that the robots are coming, if you like.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But we now know that Haumea is coming as well. So, and we know that at the moment robots have no emotional intelligence. Haumea is going to say, well, yes, that's really clever that you've arrived, but actually you haven't got this. How are you going to manipulate that? So the square between them, I think, is going to be something about the incorporation of emotional intelligence with artificial intelligence.
AI, yes. Yeah, when you talk about it, I just have a little bit, goosebumps. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe, and that's another thing we probably need to discuss about the AI and during the Pluto in Aquarius. That would be super interesting. Well, not really one last thing, but I think we've been talking about these things. Since Mars moving into Gemini, and we keep talking about it, but now Mars in Gemini and the retrograde. So have you noticed any event?
Yes, I have noticed something, because it's just curious. What we make notes, you have a consultation, you make notes afterwards, right? And they've got to be shorthand because you're going on to the next thing. So it becomes keywords. And I started to notice that I was writing down the word bullying a lot. Right? Now, I probably picked that up from the news thing and the Gavin Williamson story here. I'd probably, so maybe that I'd been planted in my mind. But suddenly I found that we have a lot of carers coming in to look after my husband, as you know, right? So, and we've made friends with them over the time. And so I probably know more about them than I should, right? But every single one last week, every single one was coming in and telling me a story about an incident of bullying. Right. And I thought this is really the sharp end of Mars, because they were trying to work out, what language do you use to stop a bully? How do you, and it was very interesting, because they didn't always use the word bullying, but you could see that they were in situations that were highly manipulative, abusive, you know, all of those things. And these carers are working in the most delicate of situations. So to be faced with this as well, it's very humbling to watch it all and to listen to it. But it made me think about Mars in Gemini. And now, of course, I understand that apparently half our government is being accused of bullying.
Bullying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's become the word. And I thought, this is just interesting, because this transit is so different to any other retrograde Mars that we've had. And it is a war of words.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I think it's very interesting, because I always remember the chart of the first tweeter as a Mars in Gemini.
Yes. And I was looking at the chart for the company Twitter, and of course Saturn in the eclipse chart was exactly on Twitter's Neptune, right?
Oh, okay.
Which is extraordinary, isn't it, when you think about it? Neptune reaches the parts that nothing else can, and along comes Saturn and says, "Oh no, you can't, not till you paid me some money first, or bring me the homework." So the mathematics of it all is really awesome, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So about the list, I think between Elon Musk and Twitter, and also there's people going to stay on Twitter, because people are mocking about the blue tick thingy.
Well, that's the other side of the retrograde Mars in Gemini. There is a humor to it, right? There are lots of memes. There's lots of clever things going on. It's trickster time, but that doesn't resolve the issue. The issue has yet to be resolved. And that brings us back really to the other bit of the loop, because Uranus is going to station in January at 50 degrees of the fixed, right?
Yeah.
It goes direct. So I think we should I think we should really be looking to see what happens with the cryptos and the Twitters and all of those things in January of next year.
Yeah, well, that would be so interesting.
I'm stopping myself talking now, because I'm thinking I'm going to write about this, and I'm going to do some more about this but when is our event?
It will be the event of Pluto in Aquarius.
No. Our next event, the December event. We have a
December. Okay. Yes, our December event is at 20th of December, and we will focus on the South Asian market, Southeast Asian market, and this is to cooperate with AOA, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and China. So we will focus on the Southeast Asian market, and it was so interesting, because last year we did the same event, focused on this area. Am I allowed to say it? How amazing! No, to be honest, all our students had the feedback since the last couple months, because you're talking about two major companies. One is Taiwan Semiconductor.
Yeah.
And you talk about from September something happened. Wow.
Yeah.
Their price cut in half. Okay, another one we only focus on maybe two stocks, and then another one is a famous Chinese-based technology company called Tencent. But then we talk about this Hong Kong stock share markets, and we talk about it Tencent. And you say it's weird. You use the word you counting down to the date they have.
Good Lord.
And that we just like, wow, that is, of course, that is a big things to say. You're counting down to the day they have. And you know what happening at this moment? They are very, very, very likely to be taken over by Chinese government. And you just like, how could you see it?
Well, I'm tempted to say that it was a lucky hit. I will have to go back and have a look at those ones, obviously before the 20th of December. It's really interesting working with your students from Southeast Asia, because we are so West, we're so S&P, we're so the FTSE and whatever. It's really good looking at that one. And we have to remember that all of the Southeast Asian markets for the last century, whenever Saturn has gone through one of the mutable signs, those indices have fallen. And Saturn to Pisces. So that's kind of looking as though, if the past really does repeat, then from next year, that those markets will not be doing so well. But I have to do more work on that. And I also want to bring Australia into it, because I want to look at that whole trading block.
That would be so interesting. Wow, Christine, it's always nice to work with you. And also once a month, around the last quarter moon, we will talk about these things. It's like so inspiring. I will finally chip in something. The next in 2 weeks' time on Saturday, we will have Dr. J. Lee Lehman and Mandita Leclerc talking about Pluto in Aquarius. And then also Christine will team up with Liam McCarthy on the 25th of February 2023. Same thing is a Saturday from 1 p.m. GMT, and then that would be 1 hour for Christine and 1 hour for Lian, and Lian and Christine will have like half-hour dialogue and with Q&A. That would be so interesting, because I never do things like this, but I want to try it, bring different astrologer with different view and different area, and they can play something, could have a chat, astrology chat, and then I think our audience and our student will understand how astrologer chatting, talking about it when we met each other. That would be pretty interesting. But before that, there's another two. One is on the 17th of December. It's a Link Bell with Fernanda Paiva talking about the Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn in Pisces. And another one is the 14th of January, Darby Costello with Alejo Lopez. And Christine, what you just mentioned about your financial course. If people want to,
right, it's not right. We have to take away the word of course, right?
Okay,
it isn't a course, right? Each one of these is a standalone thing. It's 1 hour, right? This next one is on the 20th, right? If people want to know more, all they've got to do is email us at office@cityscope.com. That's CITYSCOPS.com.
Okay.
We've got about 20 people already booked for that one.
Okay.
But it is a financial astrology at work. That's what
Okay. That would be wow. So if you want to join, I will post this email address to the Facebook and also on the description. So if you are interested in once a month the financial astrology discussion with Christeen Skinner, and email to the Cityscope, and then you can join the Christeen Skinner to talk about financial astrology. That would be so interesting. I think more and more, the more you study, you just you couldn't forget it.
It's an odd kind of chat thing, because we have some traders there as well as we've got astrologers. So it really is. You don't have to think that you need to know intense astrology for this, because we're actually using trading programs. So it is a very different thing.
Okay. Well, okay. I think we talked quite a lot, nearly half an hour. So thank you,
We're
Christine.
good at this, Rod. We're good at chat.
I know. If sometimes we have to force ourselves to say, now we should stop. Okay. Yeah.
But really good to see you, Rod.
Yeah,
really,
me too. Really nice to you. Yeah. So so our next one would be, I think we haven't decided date yet. Once I know, I will announce it. Okay.
Well, we know when it's going to be, because it goes with the last
you mean
quarter
the last quarter moon? Okay, I will let you find it.
Well, actually, you've already got something else on that day, because I just heard you say it. No, we're going December the 16th. Okay, December the 16th.
Okay, so that's a Friday. Yeah, if you are happy, no, let's fix it. Let's stay around that time. But we will maybe like around that time, Friday 16th. Okay.
Friday 16th. Yeah.
Okay, Friday 16th. We just like discuss our time here. That's okay. That maybe like around 4 p.m. 4:30, I think.
Yes, we do it about this time, and I know that we will talk about Microsoft. I know that's what we'll be talking about.
You already announced the topic. Okay, so December 16th at the 4 p.m. 4 and 4. What should I say? 4 o'clock 30 minutes. Well, 4. I don't know. Suddenly 4:30. I don't know why suddenly I blocked that. Okay, and we're probably going to talk about Microsoft. Okay, it's very interesting. I think I need a race now. So see you next month. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.